are so back. I'm excited for Saturday, man.
Always.
Super excited for Saturday. It's gonna be fucking lit. Make the people a bunch of money.
So many games today. A lot of teams that need good performances today too. It's getting down there.
All right, we are back. It is College Hoops RX with your boy Sosa Picks, joined by my co-host Spin Doc Sports per usual. Happy Saturday, the 15th of February. We just had a wonderful Valentine's Day. Um, Drinking, Party Next Door dropped an album. The Eagles had a parade yesterday that I had to attend because obviously my significant other is a huge Eagles fan. Spin, how you doing today? It's Saturday. It's time to make some money. How you feeling?
I'm doing good, man. My son's varsity team got a big dub last night on the road. We've won 4 of our last 6. They're playing their best ball heading into tourney time. So it was fun to watch. It was a 2-point win, kind of a last second win, and yeah, whenever you can get a win against one of the top teams in the conference on the road, it's always a good thing. And ready to make some money today. So yesterday's slate, I know we didn't have a show. Yesterday's slate was just poor. It was so poor.
Ugly.
It just so poor. I mean, VIP only had 1 play for the entire day because I'm always a big believer that there's no need to force it. There's no need to put unnecessary funds at risk. So, but yeah, just an ugly slate. It is much better today. We got a jam-packed show today. And as you can see by Sosa's background at the end, I promise you, we will do a full breakdown of Auburn and Arkansas, the big show kicking off today. But we got a lot more for that. So anything else before we kick it off, Sosa?
Nah, I'm ready, man. I'm straight to it. Where are the banners? The banners have disappeared for me.
All right, you ready? All right, ready to roll for your first one?
Yeah, let's get to it. Obviously, on Saturdays, there are a lot of opportunities on the dog side as far as home dogs. Today, I'm tackling it the other way. On Saturdays, there are also plenty of opportunities for chalk. And I think that's something that people, I guess, with just generally with betting, I guess now with sports, they're scared to take the juice or drink the juice. Listen, Lehigh and Butler today, in my opinion, are set it and forget it winners. I think the matchup is correct, the location of the game is correct, and that's my reasoning behind picking both of them to win today. I think they're both the just easily the better team in the matchup. If you want to pull it up, you can. But the first play for me is going to be a Butler Lehigh money line parlay, and right now that is going to get you to plus 142 on FanDuel. Again, chalk wins. The public wins. Everyone, I'm all for value, and I think value is a great way to approach every sport. Saturdays in college basketball for me, it's chalk or home dogs. Those are what I'm focused on. And again, for me, the chalk spot is Georgetown coming to Butler. We all know what it's like to play at Hinkle. No one enjoys going there. It's going to be an ugly, draw it up basketball game that Butler will eventually grind out a win in their home gym. And the same goes for Lehigh. I don't know how much you trust Holy Cross. I know we've had like small, static moments in regards to betting them this season, but personally, I think it's a smash spot for both. I love them both at the crib to handle business. Home favorites today, I love it. That's what I'm on.
Yep. Agreed. If you're somebody that follows betting lines, the spread for Lehigh, which is bouncing between -4.5 to -4. Right now, you do have a significant disparity in bets to money, and so what that means for those that don't study this is the books obviously want 50% on both sides, because then winners pay the losers pay the winners. Book takes the juice. But sometimes you get where there's a disparity. So if you have, say, 100 people put $1 each on each side, then you have $100 on each side, right? Well, this you don't have because you have 20% of the bets, but 74% of the money is on Lehigh. That disparity usually means that there's at least some big bettor or some big betting syndicate out there that thinks that Lehigh is gold for -4. So you put that in a parlay with Butler. The Butler stuff isn't out yet, or it's being updated. The last time I checked, that actually matched up as well. So yeah, I can't argue with that. So really, I saw Luke Murphy just asked, what did I miss? Really just Butler, Lehigh moneyline parlay, Luke, is the only play that we've given out so far. So you're golden for everything else. All right. On to my first one.
My bad, I was muted. Plus 142 currently on FanDuel Sportsbook.
Perfect.
So.
All right, my first one.
Yes, sir.
All right. So for this one, we got Washington going to College Station to take on Penn State.
State College.
Sorry, now College Station is A&M. Sorry. At 2 p.m. Eastern time to take on the Nittany Lions. And you got Penn State laying 6.5 with a total of 150.5. So I'm on the dog here. Actually, I'm on the dog pretty significantly here. Penn State is in a deep slide. They have lost 10 of their last 11. The only game that they won was when they got Rutgers by 2 at home about a week and a half ago. The other thing that Penn State does not have is they don't have anybody who matches up well with Great Osborne. For those that haven't watched him, 6'8" import from England. Big, thick kid, but he's got a great soft touch around the basket and is actually quite athletic. He can step out and make the three. It's probably not his forte. I don't think he shoots a great percentage. 29.4 from deep, but the guy rebounds like crazy. Big, thick body, hard to defend. And you can see here is that Niederhauser is not going to be able, I don't think, to defend Osborne on the wing. You have all the rest of the Penn State rotation players don't have the size, so you have some post-up opportunities there. So you combine that with the fact that you have a Penn State team, and these stats here on the screen from KenPom, this is Big Ten Conference only. So in Big Ten Conference play, not only is Penn State 14th in effective field goal percentage, but they are shooting 43.9% in their last 3. Now, you might say, well, Washington's shooting even worse, which is true. That was early in conference. Last 3, Washington's at 56.5%. And they've actually won 3 of their last 5. I know they won 2 of their last 4, so playing a little bit better, and they're shooting better as well. The other advantage here that I think that Washington has, so I talked about Penn State shooting poorly. So you also have a Washington team that in their last 3 has an 82.4% defensive rebound rate. That would be top 27, top 30, I think, in the country. And in their last 3, and they're top 100 overall in the same metric. And lastly, Penn State's leading scorer, Ace Baldwin Jr. I actually like him as a player a lot, but he is struggling. 13 of 37 shooting in his last 4, shooting only about 20-some% from deep. So you add all of that take all that into account, and you have a great mismatch, no pun intended, with Osborne. And you have a Penn State team that is just absolutely in free fall right now. Can Washington win the game? I honestly believe that they can. This isn't an official play, but I would not be surprised for myself if I maybe took a little bit of a sprinkle on the Washington money line, which as of right now is plus 215. I wouldn't put a bag on it. Wouldn't go crazy, but this is a pretty easy spot for me to take the Huskies at the 6.5. Penn State just is not playing well enough. Their guards aren't playing well enough. Ace Baldwin isn't shooting well enough. And Washington's offense has actually been pretty good over the last week and a half or so, even though they've had they're in the middle of a road trip across the country. So official play is the Washington Huskies at plus 6.5. And as I said, maybe just a couple bucks, quarter unit, whatever. I might not be opposed to sprinkling on them to win outright. And maybe at some point Penn State stops the slide. I don't think it's today.
Man, betting against Penn State at Penn State, it's a tough one.
Yep. Well, it's more betting against how they're playing right now.
They've just been awful, right? They've just been awful.
They've been terrible lately. So
for some reason, my computer's not allowing me to see the banners. I don't know what's going on. So we're gonna have to.
Yeah, no, I'll do it.
You can run it up, and like I said, I can talk it off, but that's why I was kind of fucked up on the last one. Not gonna lie.
No, you're good. You're good.
Is Niedhauser back?
I think he might be, but it doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference. All right. Next one. James Madison at Coastal Carolina. The Dukes and the Chancelloteers, one of the cooler nickname games of the day. And so this game goes at 2 p.m. Eastern time. You have James Madison, as you would expect, playing a team like Coastal Carolina, laying 8.5 on the road, a total of 131.5. So my play is on neither one of those things. My play here is on in the first half. So if you're wondering what team over their last 3 games, and actually even further back than that, over the last week and a half, has scored the lowest amount of points per game in the first half in the country, it would be Coastal Carolina. They're averaging 21.3 points per game, which is just absolutely hideous, shooting damn near under 25%. The other thing is, in their last few games, their leading scorer, Jordan Battle, is shooting 7 of 24. He's shooting under 47% in his over the last week and a half or so. As a team, the Chancelloteers are shooting under 45% in their last 3. They're 259th overall. I mean, I could just list metrics upon metrics upon metrics. You see where I'm going with this, is that Coastal Carolina just quite simply is misfiring like crazy. And you have a James Madison team that's allowing 48.7% inside the arc in their last 3, which is where Coastal gets about 60% of their shots. So Coastal, I talked about how they're struggling from 3. I talked about James Madison defends the 2 very well. And you also have a James Madison team where in conference they're 5th, and they are top 150 overall in not fouling. Free throws attempted over field goals attempted on the defensive side. Doesn't really make a difference even if you do, because Coastal Carolina, 69% free throw percentage as a team. They have multiple guys here, as you can see, that just shoot hideous percentages from the line. So, yeah, they're at home, but that hasn't mattered because they just have not been able to generate any offense over about the last week and a half to 2 weeks. And you also have their leading scorer who has really been struggling. So I will bet on this right now. It was on DraftKings. There might be other numbers coming out, but right before we went on, it was the only number that I saw that was out. The first half team total under 28.5 for Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina, first half team total under 28.5 is the second play. All right. And Xavier Johnson, love this play. Wish I didn't live in VA. Yeah, they're just, man, they're struggling right now. I actually watched one of those games, and just the whole offense looks clunky. Shots aren't falling. It's pretty ugly right now. So when I get a James Madison team that defends inside the arc and doesn't foul, that takes away 2 of their offensive options. Do I really think that they're going to all of a sudden just catch fire from 3-point range all of a sudden in the first half today? I don't think so. Nothing in their pedigree has proven that they will. Luke says, "Can you touch on the Purdue total?" Yes. After we cover Auburn, Alabama, we'll get to that, and then we'll also get to any questions that anybody pops in the chat. All right. My last one for the day.
Yeah,
Toledo at Eastern Michigan. Toledo at Eastern Michigan. So this game kicks off at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. You got Toledo, who opened at 3.5, I believe 3.5, and it's gone up to 4.5. And it might even be going up further. And it's pretty easy for me to see why. At Eastern Michigan, I am actually on the Rockets today. So first things first, Eastern Michigan has lost 8 straight against Toledo, regardless of location. Almost all of them have been by more than this number. Eastern Michigan is foul prone. So you can see here, dead last in the MAC in free throws attempted over field goals attempted defensively. They're also sub 300 in the country in free throws allowed. Toledo is, not only are they third in the conference in getting to the line, they've also been attempting 23 free throws per game in their last 3, which would rank 23rd in the country and 3rd in the MAC. They also shoot, as you can see here, nearly 80% from the line as a team. That is not only first in the conference, it's also top 100 in the entire nation. So you have a lot of advantages right there for the Rockets. Now, on the other side, Eastern Michigan, when these two teams played last time, Eastern Michigan did keep it to a 1-possession game at Toledo, and they did that by shooting the ball well. That was earlier. That was then. This is now. Eastern Michigan under 50% effective field goal percentage in their last 3. They are also almost under 30% from deep, not shooting the ball well at all right now. Toledo's defense from 3, as you can see, 10th in the conference and overall sub 300. It's not the greatest, but it has been better over the last week or so. But besides all that, you have an Eastern Michigan team that's just misfiring over and over and over again. And the other point here is that Eastern Michigan does not rebound well. You can see here that they're 10th in preventing offensive rebounds, which would also be their defensive rebound rate. And they have in their last 3, that's even worse. So they have about a 27% rate here for preventing offensive rebounds. That would be sub 320 in the country. So you have a team that's not playing well, one that is, a team that gets to the line against a team that fouls a lot, a team that has won 8 straight, regardless of location, most of which by more than this number. And you have a Toledo team that is still fighting for one of the top seeds in the conference. Eastern Michigan obviously is not. So I will lay the points here. Normally, I'm not a huge fan of laying the points on a road chalk, but this is a matchup where Toledo just has too many advantages. So final free play for me would be the Toledo Rockets at -4.5. All right. Sosa, your game. Kansas, Utah, 10 p.m. Eastern time. Kansas flying across the country, laying 6.5 with a total of 145.5. What are we doing with Mr. Bill Self tonight?
This is a lean for me. First of all, listen, listen, Kansas is a better basketball team. I think Utah makes this a fight. I think 6.5 is a little too much. If I were to have a lean free play of any kind, I would take Utah with the points. I mean, they're Kansas, right? They're usually like a dominant fixture in the Big 12. They look the part every single year. This year, not so much. Kind of like, I wouldn't say they've been average, but they're kind of, their performances kind of run back to the middle. Run back to the mean. And I'm rocking with Utah with the 6.5. I think they fight, and I think that Kansas eventually wins the game, but it's a lot more competitive than people anticipate entering the game. So
right.
Utah with the 6.5 points.
Utah with 6.5.
Yes,
all
sir.
right. All right. Before we get to the big show of the day, I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody who's joining us today. Adams Digest, love you, my guy. Xavier Johnson, Hurt, Luke Murphy, always a huge supporter for us. Moneybag Tone, thank you. Flow Creator, go get him, my guy. Let's get on go get him. Let's get on that cruise ship again soon, my guy. Hurt, Luke, and I think it's
there's two Lukes. There's Luke Murphy and another
Luke and Luke Murphy. Shout out to both of them.
For sure.
Which says they got the size to deal with Dickinson. That they do.
Correct. So I think that Utah will give Kansas everything they can handle. Wouldn't be surprised if they fought all the way to the bitter end.
Yep.
Obviously, Kansas, from a talent standpoint, will figure it out. But yeah, I like Utah.
And you know that I'm never gonna argue fading Bill Self ever.
Never big
ever. You will never hear me argue about fading Bill Self. So
although I can't lie, the last championship he won, you got to give him a lot of credit. He coached up a team that we didn't really think was going to win the whole thing. So with the one with Christian Brown, I got to give Run of his flowers. He figured that one out, man. Not just because he beat North Carolina. Well, yeah, just because he beat North Carolina.
All right.
That's really what got me.
As we talk in here, talk about the game of the day and maybe the regular season game of the year. If anybody has any other questions about any other games you want to touch on, put them in the comments and we will get to them once it's over. On to the big show. Number 1 versus number 2, 4 p.m. Eastern time, Alabama, Auburn. Alabama at home laying -1.5. This game is basically hovered around a pick 'em and a total of about 3 million. But no, in reality, 172.5. So, I mean, you look at these two teams, it's pretty easy to see why. So Sosa, thoughts on this particular game?
Two biggest frauds no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Listen, I love Bruce Pearl. I think Bruce Pearl has been great at doing everything except winning championships as a head coach. You want to talk about getting the Final Fours, Elite Eights, taking some finding out 2 months into the season that his teams are good. Those are all things that happen with Bill Self. As far as Alabama, Nate's ran. He's been absolutely outstanding. He's put together a pro level culture. He puts pros in the league every year, whether they're one and dones. I mean, obviously Brandon Miller was there last year, but he's developed players throughout his tenure at Alabama. He's brought a culture of fast-paced, real pro-level basketball to Alabama. On the Auburn side, we're talking about the oldest team in college basketball. I was watching a little thing on the internet the other day, and they were showing that the average age for the Oklahoma City Thunder right now is just over 24 years old. And the average age of this Auburn team is just under 24 years old. One would say that this is Bill Self's best opportunity to win a championship thus far, given the landscape of college basketball, when you're able to get transfers and these players are older. Obviously, he has the one freshman who's really good. His name evades me at the moment. He's got the one young guy who's really nice. And then obviously the rest of the guys are all older. In this matchup for me, I think we get a pro game. I think the game's going to probably get played to the high 80s, maybe the 90s. You're going to get lots of efficient scoring from everyone on the field. I think on the court, I think both teams. I think it's just a back and forth type of situation. I trust Bruce. I like Nate better, so I'm going to say I believe Nate wins the game tonight. I'm on the Alabama side tonight. I fuck with Bruce Pearl. My final thought is, who the fuck would have thought the number 1 and 2 matchup would be between Auburn and Alabama, and it's not football?
I know, right?
The most shocking part about this, and also the most shocking part this year has been, we talked about it earlier this week, but the dominance of the SEC in basketball is something that's just, it's unheard of. It's so crazy right now. The SEC is really, really good.
It's
like,
really
good.
Yeah. Jay Billis said this. He said that SEC's strength this year, and now that we've made it, the few super conferences, he said this is a college basketball conference, the strength of which we haven't seen before, and he's right. you can argue all you want about should there be, mega conferences and stuff like that with the Big Ten, with teams going east to west, and the SEC with basically absorbing teams from American and from Conference USA and whatever. Look, you can argue both sides of that thing. We're not here to do that today, but it is made for some really good fucking basketball games, some incredible basketball games from Kentucky to Florida to even Tennessee, even Rick Barnes. But just it is made for some really, really good basketball games. So, yeah. And let's see. Shout out.
I just picked Alabama, buddy.
So my thought on the game is I got Alabama too. For a few reasons. Number one is Alabama has been cruising. They had the game at Arkansas where they won by 4, but then you look at Georgia, Texas. I mean, just they are really, really rolling right now. Auburn, so obviously they lost to Florida, but they also struggled for longer than they should have against Vandy. And, I know Vandy's a tougher place to play with that weird ass layout and the benches and where the benches are and the raised floor and everything. But I actually watched part of that game. They struggled way longer than they should. But the thing for me here is that Auburn, especially lately, and on the road, they're allowing 23 free throws per game on the road. And you can see here, obviously, 13th in the conference against an Alabama team that has just been shooting free throws by the truckload. So if you're going to do that on the road, that makes it, for me, really, really tough for me to back you if you're going to foul that much. Alabama to that point, 4th in the country in free throws attempted per game at 26.5, 28.6 free throws attempted on their home floor. So Auburn's going to have to be really careful defensively here. That's especially true because their main weapon, which obviously shooting the three and shooting the deep ball, is something that Alabama has been defending exceptionally well. They defended especially well at home. So they have obviously the length and everything on the wings, but they're allowing 25.6% from deep at home. So, I think on a short spread, if this were like Alabama, like -3.5 or something like that, I probably would just stay off it. But I think that the shorter spread leads me to really, really take Alabama here. The -1.5, it doesn't really bother me that much. I also, even though the total is like I said, is like a bazillion, I think for this game, from a totals perspective, you're either playing the over or you're not playing it at all. I don't think you can play the under in this situation. For those of you that follow me for baseball, it's like when we have a team that just like swings like crazy and whiffs like crazy, even when they're facing a weak pitcher. And I always say, I say this in VIP, where we have like no under island, where you might not always take the over, but you ain't never taken the under. It's the same premise here. Is that you don't have to bet the over in this game, but you are playing with fire upon fire in a volcano if you are even going to attempt to take the under for this game, because both of these teams are two of the highest efficiency offenses in the country. I already talked about the free throws. It's dangerous. So I personally would just stay way, way off the total here. So yeah, I would just stay way, way, way off the total here. And maybe if it starts off a little slow, because the hoopla and the nerves and everything, I don't think it will, but if it does and you get it at like 165 or something like that, maybe. But this is probably a total that I'm not going to touch at any point during this game.
This game is going to touch 180, bro. Both these teams touch 180.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Pace. This should be one of the best. Like you said, this could be the game of the year. Absolutely has full potential of being the best game you're going to get all season in all of college basketball, no matter whether it's tournament, whatever. You're getting This should be A1 hoops. I think we might tune into. We might do this one on playback. I love like this game is just.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's. There should be no reason why we don't get. I don't know 100 free throw attempts between the two.
There might be.
There should be like 55 to 60 free throws shot in this game.
Oh yeah. All right. I see a bunch of people added some comments, so let's go to those. Adams Digest says thoughts on Mizzou -2.5 against Georgia. I actually have a lean on that myself, so very much so would agree with that one. You also have. I talked about the disparity between bets and money. You have that right now with these two. 60% of the bets, 75% of the money is on the Tigers. It's already gone up from -1 to -2. I see that you said.
Just a warning, though. Mizzou, much different team on the road.
They are.
They play with a much. Their energy is just not the same on the road. So like while they're the better basketball team, my personal thought, I'm staying the fuck off. Georgia, because I look at this game and I was almost on Mizzou, but this is the same Georgia team we saw take Auburn and cover that 6.5 against Auburn. That this Mizzou team is nowhere near as talented. And they could run into those situations where it's 2-3 minutes no bucket, and they're down 7 or 8.
Yep.
So that's just my. While they're the better team, I'm hesitant, but I'll let you.
No, I was just gonna say the only thing that one of the things I can say in favor of Georgia too is that as of right now, if you trust Lenardi, which I actually do because the guy is so accurate, they are the literal last team in right now in the tournament. So Missouri is going to make it unless they just completely collapse. But Mizzou will be in. Georgia is literally the absolute 68th last team in right now. So obviously they need to win much more. If you want to follow that angle, I personally think that Missouri is the better team.
Oh, I mean, I don't think it's a debate. I don't think it's a debate. I think Mizzou is the better team. It's just some of their performances on the road have been absolutely embarrassing. Yep. It's not just that they've been bad; they've been downright fucking awful in some of these road games. They've been fucking terrible. So like that's
they have.
Can you tell I've down on a couple of this?
I can tell.
Can you tell you fucked it up a couple times? So that's why I'm like, when I see them, I'm like, man, I'm good.
I've laid on them at home. I actually laid on them on the road. Hurt says Iowa State and Cincy. Iowa State's got their swagger back, man. They had that little dip after the shock and awe that Caleb Love put on them, and then they had a little dip game against TCU, and then went to Lawrence and had that shit fest of a game that I don't even think touched 130 for a total. Ever since then, yeah, they got their groove back. 11.5. If you're going to play this game, I think you got to go with Iowa State here. Cincinnati has really been struggling to score in spots. And when this Iowa State, I said it a couple weeks ago, like almost a month ago, I think, said when Iowa State's rolling, when they got their offense in a groove, when Jones is locked in, this is a Final Four team. This is a team that can easily make the Final Four. So 11.5. If you're laying, to me, you're laying on the Cyclones. Bonnie's +2.5 against UMass. Oh man, the Bonnie's offense has just been so fucking brutal. I don't mind it. It's probably not something that I'm going to go on. I agree that their defense is their defense is obviously superior, but I've watched the Bonnies about 4 or 5 times this year, and oh my God, this team cannot shoot. Now, granted, UMass can't either, so I'm not going to argue that point. But at home for UMass, to me, that line is probably right around where it should be. But you know, if you think that the Bonnies can muster enough offense where then the defense can carry them the rest of the way, that would be the way to go.
What was the Toledo play? The spread? Yes.
Was the Toledo play the spread? It was.
I don't know if we see Auburn money line at plus money again. Yeah, because this is the setup, brother. This is the setup.
Let's see. Go get them. I thought you said you didn't want to hear my take. Now you do. No, man, I don't know if I'm going to play this one. I got to be honest with you because I think that Houston definitely has. So Houston to me has the length to deal and the size to deal with Arizona's bigs down low. So now the other thing for me is that in situations in games like this, because he did it early against Iowa State, I've seen him do it other games as well, where when a team starts to frustrate them defensively, I've seen Caleb Love play chucker ball more than a few times, and I think that this could be a game where he does that as well. So, it's a little bit chalky, but if you gave me a free play, I would for sure take the Cougs. First half full game. I think that when you have that much length and that ability to defend on the interior for Arizona, is that when Arizona goes into chuck mode and they start taking early threes, it just kills them. It kills their offensive momentum, and they tend to do it when they're playing against teams that have size and length to defend their post, which Houston does. So that's my overall thoughts on the game. Is that I have to go Houston on that one. I'm not sure I'm going to be putting $1 myself on it, but if you gave me a free play, I would certainly take Houston at the -1.5 for that reason. Let's see. They're up 12. Oh, George Mason money line for RJ Gaming. Yep. George Mason, that's a steep money line, isn't it? It's -182. I'm wondering, RJ3, would you take him on the spread too, or are you just going to take because right now it's 4.5 and it's pretty much holding. I'm just wondering if you would take the money line or if you would take him on the spread. And like to see if Taylor Bowen is back for the Bonnies. Yeah, that would be nice. Go get him, says need Samson today. Yeah, hey, go get him. We're locked in, man. I'm with you. I just go back to my same point, is that I've seen Caleb Love become just total chucker ball when the inside outside game isn't working for Arizona, and Houston can just frustrate the living hell out of teams on the inside, and shooting contested threes against this Houston team is a pathway to quick death. So, Luke asked, what was the Toledo play? Luke, it was full game, Toledo -4.5. It's either 3.5, 4.5, anywhere between -3.5 and -4.5. OTG, Cincinnati.
We literally just talked about this, like how we view the game. Now, everything he's saying is right, but also remember, like Spin just said, they're playing Iowa State, or Iowa State's got their swagger back. They're back playing their brand of basketball, which, if we're being honest, at the beginning of the year, that was steamrolling everybody, to be totally honest.
Yeah, no, OTG, I'm not disagreeing with you on not being the same as the past. Me, I look at it where it is that, as I said, when Iowa State's rolling offensively, which they have been over their last few games, it just I can't not take them. I will tell you that I personally am not going to be probably taking Iowa State in, or actually probably even touching that game at all. But if you gave me a free play, I would probably take it on the Cyclones. Luke says, going to stack the money line with the set it and forget it 2-piece. Don't mind that at all. Iowa State back to scoring 80 points with Mamalechovic in the lineup. Yes, they are. Iowa says Boise 1.5. Yeah, they need to win bad. They need to win.
That's Logan. Man, you gotta change your goddamn name, bro. You be fooling. You gotta change that shit.
That's all right. No, sorry, I'm trying to read these fast. But no, Logan says Boise +1.5. Boise needs a win in the worst way. They're in the top. They're one of the first 2 teams in the next 4 out right now on most bracketologists, guys. They need a win bad. Getting a win at SDSU, which is a place where they've won before recently, would be a nice little feather in their cap and revenge spots. Yep, definitely the revenge spots, especially when it's two teams that are both in the mix, fighting for a berth, fighting for a bid, because that bubble line just changes daily now. So, like I said, Boise with a win today could easily play themselves into the part of the first four out. One more win, a few wins in the conference tournament, could get an at-large. I mean, they're living on the bubble. Yes, they sure did. Yep, they sure did. San Jose State, which San Jose State has had this habit, and they did it again last night, where they play teams very, very tough in the first half and then just get blown the fuck out in the second half. I think their last like 4 or 5 games, their average second half margin is like -15 or something. It's bad. So they don't play today because they played last night against Nevada. But the next time they play, you can certainly look to take, especially if they're close. If they're close, you can certainly look to take them to fade them in the second half. James Jack, what's up, my guy? Thoughts on Florida State and Clemson?
Can't touch anything Florida State. Like the coach is leaving.
Retiring.
The program is bro. Listen, this is what we're seeing in college sports. There are coaches that simply do not want to be a part of this NIL situation. It is fucking up the way some of these coaches go about recruiting players. It's that simple. You saw Tony. What do you think Tony will do? You think Tony's going to stay retired? Or you think Tony's waiting for a job where it's just basketball centric, where he doesn't have a situation of a shooting in the football program looming on the school that he had nothing to do with? And again, I'm not trying to sound insensitive, but when things take place at the school, it makes it harder for all of the other programs to recruit. And now NIL comes in. That's what it is. These guys don't want to coach in this era. They want no parts of it. None. They liked it better when you had to cheat to pay for the players.
Yep. I'm with you.
Easier that way.
Clemson or nothing for me. Too much size too. Florida State's actually one of the biggest teams in the nation, but Clemson has the size to match. And I'm not sure that I trust Florida State in any capacity right now. I also don't trust them from a guard perspective matching up. So it was one that I kind of casually looked at earlier this morning, but kind of crossed it off because I think that the 4.5 is probably right. And the -4.5, especially for a power conference game, is kind of getting into that no man's land. So if you're going to play a pregame though, I would certainly look Clemson. A better look might be the over on that one. It's actually gone down a little bit from 143.5 to 141.5. If you can get it under 140.5 somewhere, maybe even under 140, that would be something that I might want to go with. We got Hurt saying he cashed their first half last night. San Jose State. Yep, first half. First half back them, second half fade them. That's been their story for about the last month almost. RJ3 Gaming, Furman or UNC Greensboro? No, we did not talk about that one, but I love talking SoCon ball. Speaking of a team that's found their swagger back, that would be Furman. The Furman had a big slump earlier in the middle part of the year, where they actually lost. They lost 3 of 4, but then they lost 4 of 6, and they had some kind of ugly losses, including a loss where VMI put up 91 on them. Now they've gotten a little bit better. They have gotten better, and they are favored at home against a Greensboro team that really just smacked the shit out of them last time by 17. I think it was in early January. So, but Furman's offense has been looking a lot better. It's been their defense that's failed them. As I mentioned, they gave up 91 to VMI. They gave up 85 to Chattanooga. They've given up 80 plus points in multiple games, but at home with their shooting, if their defense can hold, they can cover this 3 pretty easily, I think. They actually match up really well with UNCG. And UNCG, first in the SoCon right now. And yeah, okay, so they're on a roll, and I say a roll. They've won 3 in a row. The Citadel Western Carolina VMI. It hasn't been against the top of the top in the conference. So, and when they're doing that, they've had their offense has been okay. It's been all right. Like they only put up 74 against Western Carolina, only shot 44%. And now they get a Furman team who has a much better offense than all 3 of those teams by a considerable amount. So I like Furman. I like Furman. I would go with Furman. Yep. Xavier says Furman to the moon today. Yep. I'm with you. Furman to the moon.
Before you, my boy, B-Flow betting, my man. He's straight out of Florida. You need a winner? Man, I got the 2-part money line parlay that we dropped at the beginning. Lehigh and hold on. We done talked about so many different bets.
Lehigh Butler was what it was.
Butler money line, Lehigh money line, plus 142. Set it, forget it, and we'll talk later.
And then last, and then we got to go get them. Sparty at 6.5, and then sprinkle the money line in Illinois today. Oh, we didn't talk about the Purdue total either, so we'll get to that one last.
Michigan, can I give my take on this one first?
Yeah, go.
You're absolutely right. 6.5 is way too many points. It is way too many points for an Izzo-led basketball team in conference play mid-February. Because if it's one thing that he's going to be able to do is negotiate his way through a basketball game. That's one thing we know. Stay in your coach's box, yelling at every fucking referee on every free throw attempt. I mean, tell you, this is what you're going to see today. This is what he's going to do. He's going to manipulate and negotiate his way through that game. So I love the 6.5. I think 6.5 with Izzo against Izzo at this point in the year is just disrespectful. I don't give a fuck where it's being played. They can play the game on the moon. This shit would. There's no way that the winner wins by more than 7 points.
Yep.
Unless it's Michigan State.
Yep. Last but not least, going back to Luke's, Doc, can you please touch on the Purdue total? That's Purdue and Wisconsin. That game starts in a few hours here. And so it's actually, so it opened at 147.5. It's gone. It's been bet up to 150 to 152.5 in some places. Right now, you got 45% of the bets and 48% of the money are on the over. So you have a little bit of a disparity, but it's pretty equal for this one. I like the over at 147.5 at the open. I'm not sure I like it so much now at 150. I certainly don't like it at 152.5. So I think that for me, I'm probably looking to not play this pregame. If I can get it at any point in the early to mid part of the first half at under 150, that would be an over I'd be looking to take, because I think that anywhere based on what I'm projecting for this one, anything in that 148 to 151 range is kind of like no man's land. So I would rather wait to see if we can get it to go down a little bit before I would think about wanting to take a shot on the over, because Wisconsin being at the 5.5 number as well, which I actually have a lean on Wisconsin to cover that number. You also have a potential for there to be a foul game on one side at the end and get some free throws to take you over. So that's just kind of how I would approach the game. But if you are playing it pregame, I would probably look at the over, but just know that it's been bet up since open. And I personally think that a decent amount of the value of it has been bet out. So I would look to see if I could get a better number in game.
Yes, sir. Man, this was a great shot. We got a lot out, and as expected, right? It's Saturday on
Saturday.
Yeah, and then during the week we go relatively early, so we don't get like a lot of dialogue live. We might get some questions in the chat like post show. But yeah, I love the dialogue. I love again, the only problem with that last thing that you just said, and the only reason I would be tentative at any point with Michigan State is they're just not a good 3-point shooting team, right? So like they defended 3 well, and Illinois, I think that they give Kasparis problems. They give those guards issues on the perimeter. Don't let them shoot well. I think it's a 4 or 5 point game max at the end, because that's just Izzo style basketball. Manipulate the game and manipulate the referees, screaming one of them their ears and make this game what you want it to be. Nobody's better at it than Izzo. Only way you run Izzo out the gym is if in the first half you have to hit at least 8 3-point shots, 7 or 8 3-point shots, which is very difficult. But you hit 6, 7 threes against them, you're probably going to be up 15 at halftime. In the first half, if you do that against them in a half, you're going to win the game. But I don't see that from Illinois at all.
All right, I think that'll do it for us. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for the dialogue. Appreciate everybody who gave comments, who gave thoughts and analysis. I love the interaction. Love the back and forth. Love all the different plays and opinions. So, Sosa, any final thoughts for today other than have your TVs tuned in at 4 Eastern in Tuscaloosa?
Best game of the year.
It's going to be fun.
These two suckers done turned basketball into a real thing in the SEC. You love to see it.
Let's see it. All right, we out.
Peace.